What's up, team? I'm former United States Army Ranger Joshua Thompson. Over the last week, I timed all my runs using this new Garmin to show you guys exactly what an average week looks like of running in the 75th Ranger Regiment. For more training tips just like this, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's get into it. Now, whether it's just daily life in the 75th or you're going through selection like RASP, you're going to be exposed to long distances. So it is incredibly important to build up your cardio, especially if you guys are like me and you went through a RASP class during a summer cycle. The heat and Georgia humidity on top of all the physical activity that we're already doing cause a lot of individuals to heat cat or become a heat casualty. I believe in my classes around 15 individuals who became heat casualties when it's completely avoidable. Where yes, you definitely need to maintain hydration levels as well as eat properly, but the most important aspect being guys just aren't in shape. That being said, running is just part of the package of meeting the standard. If you guys get thrown on a 100-pound rucksack on your back and you can't perform, there's going to be a huge issue for you because as a ranger, you spend a lot of time under a rucksack. There's going to be a lot of these. However, when conducting the 5-mile run, I suggest that you shoot for a 35 or below minute 5-mile run because when you get to selection, you're not going to have a lot of luxuries that you're used to. Because during selection, you're going to be exposed to a lot of physical duress on top of not getting enough sleep. Most likely getting around 2 to 4 hours per day at most. So if you're at like a 39-minute 5-mile and you go through all this physical duress and no sleep, you're most likely not going to be able to perform. When the 5-mile comes, you're most likely not going to be able to perform at your best. So that's why people say shoot for a 35-minute or under 5-mile run, because it'll give you lots of leeway despite the horrible conditions you're exposed to. So to give you guys an idea of how you should be training, let's look at the runs I conducted last week. And these runs are basically identical of what I was doing in the 75th Ranger Regiment. So it's basically what we were doing. The first run of the week here is a tempo run where I ran 5 miles. This next week I actually ran 6 miles. That's the typical distance we'd run for our tempo runs, around 5 to 6 miles. But the most important aspect being you want to maintain a heart rate of around zone 3 or zone 4. At the threshold level, that's typically going to be around 153 to 160 beats per minute. So if we look at this run, you can see that my heart rate was mostly around 153 to 155 beats per minute. And then at the end, it was starting to spike, going towards that threshold level, peaking at around 163 beats per minute. What these tempo runs are going to do is basically they're going to increase your lactic acid threshold level where you can run longer distances, where your legs won't get tired and start to burn out as fast. This will also obviously improve your aerobic capacity for these longer runs. The second run here is a typical active recovery run. I ran 3 miles. Recovery runs are usually ran at a slower pace, around like 55 to 65% of your max heart rate. And then typically after these active recovery runs, we would typically conduct some PT improvement to include like push-up, sit-up drills. The third run of this week, probably the most important run, is your threshold runs. There's lots of nuance when it comes to Wednesdays or in the middle of the week for our threshold runs. You would typically see sprints like your 6120s, mile repeats, rucking, and kit runs. For this particular case, I did 6120s. You can see during my run how I speed up for a short interval and then slow down for that longer interval, and then continuously do that throughout this threshold run. For any confusion, 6120s is where you sprint for 60 seconds and then for 120 seconds you either walk or you light jog, and then you conduct that for around 8 to 10 times. Here in this run, I actually went one more. I miscounted and I went 11, but extra reps. Also, if you're stationed at Fort Benning / Fort Moore, there's this place called Cardiac Hill. Our squad like to go over there and do lots of hill sprints where you're sprinting up this hill. It's right next to the Downing Mile, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately here, you cannot see my heart rate. But for these threshold runs, you want to shoot for your heart rate to be around 160 to 180 beats per minute, depending on your age group, but point being past your threshold limit. The reason why this is probably the most important aspect of your running throughout the week is that not only are you going to push your body to handle higher intensities more effectively, but it's probably the best way to improve your 5 mile, especially if you do mile repeats. It's probably the best day to improve your PT scorecard. And then the fourth run is another recovery run. I didn't record it because I was just on the treadmill, but most likely that's going to be paired with more PT improvement. And then the last run being a long run for those longer distances. For the long run, you want to keep a pace that you can have a conversation at. That's around 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. We would conduct a long run pretty much every single week. If you guys aren't used to that kind of mileage yet, I suggest you start small and then gradually increase your miles over time, because if you just go straight into like 8 to 10 miles, you might hurt yourself, you might injure yourself. You might be wondering, what's the point of these longer distances if these mile repeats help me out more? Now, while these mile repeats definitely help with your aerobic capacity when it comes to these races, you might have noticed that when you go on longer runs, your legs tend to give out faster than your lungs. I think I hear it more often that dudes cannot run longer distances, not because their lungs can't take it, but because their legs start to stiffen up and start to burn. What these long runs do is ultimately increase the muscular endurance in your legs. If you guys don't run these distances like I wasn't at the time, you're going to be more sore from that long distance run than leg day. So yeah, ultimately you want to strengthen up your slow twitch muscles so that they can keep up with your lungs, so that you can continue to run these longer distances, especially with the 5 mile. If you guys haven't conducted a 5 mile before, you're going to have issues with your legs. But that's it, guys. That's a look at what typically we do in the 75th Ranger Regiment when it comes to running, at least in my squad, because we typically like to conduct our own lifting on our own time. We also knew that we wouldn't conduct runs unless we did it in the morning, because everyone loves the lift, but no one wants to run. And then I would say the thing that holds people back from running faster is A, the lack of awareness of how many miles you actually need to put in order to improve your running, or B, you're a bigger dude, and because you're a bigger dude, you're a slower runner. The best way for bigger guys to improve their time, ultimately, is to lose weight. But that's gonna do it, guys. If you like what you heard, hit the like button and share with your Ranger buddy. If you guys thought I missed anything or would like to add your thoughts, comment down in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.